Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back for another episode of Connect with the Quran. You're here with Najman Sadi. We're having a look at Surah Kaf. So today we're going to look at another passage from it further up. And inshallah, let's just first listen to a recording of the surah. So Bismillah.
واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تطع من أغفلنا قلبه عن ذكرنا واتبع هواه وكان أمره فرطا.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa ahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. And to this passage we listened to was from Ayah 28, which is as an interlude between the two stories. We've just did the story of the sleepers of the cave. Very briefly, I'm just touching on it. I'm just giving it to you in a bullet point of what was relevant in it and what was the significance of the story was of, if we're looking at from the level of the fitnas, and this surah is supposed to protect us. So from the story that we needed to get from the sleepers of the cave is from the Ashab al-Kahf is the fitna when you are young, how easy it is to derail when you are a youth. You know, you don't want to say your salah on time, you feel lazy, this or that, whatever it is. So if you as a youth are able to stay on track, then you've really saved yourself half the battle and, you know, from the fitna of being derailed. So here what I liked about this passage 28 when it says, and keep your soul content with those who call upon the Lord morning and evening, seeking his face. And this is going to come in yuridu wajhahu, seeking Allah's pleasure, seeking his face, wanting to see him alone. And let not your eyes pass beyond them, seeking the pomp and the glory, the zinat al-hayat dunya, the pomp and the glory of the dunya, and or obey any of those who, where we have permitted their hearts to deviate and not remember from the deviate from the remembrance of Allah, and the one who follows his own desire. So again, I like this as a recap from the surah that this is what happens when you're youth. Inshallah, by the time we get to Surah Hadid, it talks about the pomp and glory, how its life is like the earth, the barren earth, before the barren earth, how when it grows, it's this, and this, and then it dies again. And so it says again about when you start with lahibun wa lahwun, play and just play and frivolness, and then pomp and glory, and then wanting status, and so on. That's in Surah Hadith, but here even just the fact that so don't wish to turidu zinat al-hayat ad-dunya, that don't wish for the zina of the dunya, which and follow then those, obviously. So all what comes in, brands, this, that. There was a beautiful saying that they said, you know, why are people so against Islam? Why don't they want people to be Muslims? Why are they? Because if imagine, inshallah, one day when it happens, just before the last days, when we are all Muslims, you lose your business on pornography, you lose your business on alcohol, you lose your business on gambling, you lose your business of all these brands and unnecessary luxury things which you have no need for, but how it's a marketing that keeps this alive. So, you know, Muslims are not, just by our very existence, we are a threat to so much of this business and material world, and that's what it's all about. So back to the concept of the Dajjal, the one-eyed, that also indicates, you know, it's Allah's given us, this is just extrapolation from other sources that I've taken, where I've heard from my teachers, is that when you have two eyes, you are balanced and you see both. We live in the dunya the way we have to. Even the day I'm dying, if I need to be sowing my crop, I need to do it, and at the same time my eye is always for the akhirah, of where I'm heading. So, but when you are one-eyed, and the one-eyed of the Dajjal implies that your whole focus is all on material things, on a material thing. So the first was that if as youth you can keep your iman intact, wonderful. Now the second story of the that creates fitna is of wealth, and the second story of the people of the men. There's put forth for them a parable of the two men. Of one of them we provided gardens, and not only we provided gardens, we provided him two gardens. We had the river, the stream flowing between. Then we had the trellises, he had the trees, and he had the crop. All those three things that Allah mentioned that surrounded them was date palms, between them was cornfields, and so on. That, you know, what all these things indicate is maximum utilization. So when we have land, you can grow whatever crop. Then if you put up the trellises and the grapevines or whatever else you can do on a height, and then the trees. And this same concept comes up in Surah Nur also, where it's in a straight, balanced way, and it's covered from both sides by trees, and it's a central. I'm misquoting it, I'm not saying it quite right, but the whole example being that often Allah, when He gives us, it's maximizing the use of what is there. So this is the description. You see, because you also need to take, why is Allah taking the trouble to mention the palm trees, the cornfields, the stream between? It's to show you how Allah gave him the best of the best. And then he turned arrogant. So then and he was sort of saying to his other friend, oh, but you don't look like you've got anything on your plot. And often sometimes neighbors, when you can see a crop, you say, oh, your crops aren't growing, my crops are growing, whatever else. So the other one said, you know, why didn't you, when you go into your fields, say mashallah and trust him? And you know, the beautiful thing, it comes in Surah Yasin, it comes here also, you bring the arrogant one right down to his source. What were you created from? Where did you come out from? Whenever you see a child and you know, so helpless and so dependent on the mother, and then that same child, potentially all of us included, are suddenly arrogant with their own parents. So bringing them back to their origin, where did they come out of? How were they created? So that's what he said. He said, I, for my part, I'm going to trust in Allah. And this is on ayah 32. And I'm not going to associate anything with Allah. So again, the strength of Tawheed, of staying away from shirk. In the beginning, we talked about those who say that he has a walad, he's begotten a son. Astaghfirullah, how horrible that is. And this ayah also creeps through the surah of anti-shirk. So, and he just says in passing, and he says, well, it may be that Allah can, you know, just wipe it out one day, and maybe the water will go underground and you won't have anything left. And so his fruits of enjoyment were left in ruin. And this concept again comes further in another surah further on, when people wanted to go to their garden, get the fruit, and they say, shh, don't tell anybody, don't let anybody know, especially the poor guys, and we're going to reap all the crop and everything. And this is what often happens. I mean, especially this concept of being secretive and, don't let the others know what we made, you know, whatever. And it backfires. It backfires on so whatever secret deals are going on now of what was the background to 7th of October, what happened there and what they want to do, and they want to annihilate and really just take over the whole of the Palestinian land. That will come to bite on them, and it will come to backfire. Allah knows it all. Yes, we can't see, we're being frustrated, but we don't have the bird's eye view. So Allah invites us to be looking at the Quran to get your bird's eye view and just be trusting that Allah is in charge. You need to do your part, meaning me, I need to do my part. Am I getting up for tahajjud? Am I doing this? Am I refraining from all these BDS products that I shouldn't be having? And the trouble is, and I know it for myself, that okay, for 2 days I won't go to that shop and that shop because they support that. And at the end, it's so convenient. Oh, they've got good stuff. They've got fresh stuff. So learn for us to grow my own fresh stuff. Why do I have to go to the enemy's camp to fill my belly? Anyway, so that's just also in passing, but that's the second story. And Again, it takes you on to 45 onwards, where we have another brief kind of recap of what the rain is sent down for the vegetation, it absorbs, but then the wind scatter it, and so on. So it's wealth and sons. This is another beautiful kind of passage. Al-malu wal-banuna zinat al-hayat ad-dunya, that wealth and sons are the adornment of this world. But the things that endure best is وَالْبَاقِيَاتُ الصَّالِحَاتُ خَيْرٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ وَثَوَابٌ خَيْرٌ أَمَلًا. And the best things is the khair of amala that we need to do. So instead of suggesting where they're wrong in cribbing and complaining about others, let's just fix ourselves. For me, what came to me as a flash is what I love the idea. If can't we all Muslims be united on the language? If only we would make Arabic our lingua franca. If only Arabic would seep through our souls and we're all speaking the one language of Arabic, how much more would that be bringing us together? And how much more difficult it would be for the kuffar, for the Yahud. Of course, they will learn our language. You've got all these Google apps too. But imagine, language is what unites us. Language is what is able to communicate. And of course, the language of kufr is different. The language of deen is something else. But that's just a thought, by the way. But that's where I needed to take this story to. And this story epitomizes the fitna of wealth, of the brands, of this, of that. And look up, where are we running with wanting brands? Allah says zina is everything is fine, but above that, is it for the pleasure of Allah? Why is Suleiman the best? He had the best of wealth, but he used it for Allah. Why is the Sahaba who had the best wealth, but he used it for Allah? So those are the kind of things we need to keep in mind. But that's in a nutshell the second story, or the benefit we need to draw out from it. But we're just going to take a break and then I'll come back to continue. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. So we've just looked at the second story of Surah Kahf, which is about these two men in the garden and how one gets arrogant and he feels like if he's got it in the dunya, he'll have a deen in the akhirah. And he said, I'm not really sure if the akhirah is ever going to come. And even if it does, I'm sure I'll get something better than this. And the other one reminded him, where are you from? What's your origin? And why didn't you say, mashallah, when you entered your beautiful gardens and everything? And he was left utterly destroyed, whatever he was proud of, his wealth, his prowess of having the labor power or the manpower behind him, and he was left with nothing. So from that, for me, the take-home lesson we need to do is what's going on in Gaza, the people, the pounding with the bombs, with the pounding of that. At the end of the day, it's by Allah's decree that they are successful, whether in this world and the akhirah, as they go in shaheed. I love that message I saw recently, that the traffic up to the heavens is massive over Gaza, the constant flow of shaheed, and because we know, and there was another beautiful one which said, they are alive. We have that ayah in Surah Baqarah, that they are alive, so don't say that they're gone. And in fact, then they are saying, don't you worry about us. You guys are dead because we are not doing anything. So that's a real indictment on us of what we need to be doing and doing. So just looking, if you look, even read just one story or read it to your children, especially the young ones or whatever. What is the story telling you? Never be complacent. I've got my this, I've got my that, and I'm like made it. As soon as it can be gone like this, and we and not forget the things we know for ourselves. You have an accident and you're gone in a second. So all this is a reminder, a reconfirmation that Allah is in charge, and the akhirah is any moment. And in other words, that there is a time for judgment, there is an accountability, even if you're not seeing it here. They just and there is this other ayah which talks about let them be for a while and earn, get themselves more and more in morass, steeped in sin, and they're going to have to pay for that. So that's a take home from the fitna of wealth, which is really encroaching all around us, and we are steeped in it. For 2 days, on a Friday I won't do it, or a Sunday, and then I'm back to the mall, or I'm back to this, or I'm back. So, and it has to be corrected to, for me, at an individual level. It's no point me coming and saying it outside for somebody else to do it, and I instead still enjoy my thing. The closer we can be to the Sunnah, the closer we can be. I mentioned the concept of, let's try and get Arabic. Imagine if we all started doing the Sunnah way and eating on the floor. Let's imagine other things, but it's just not convenient. It's not this. But in other words, when you are going through a crisis, be looking inwards of what is it that I can be doing, what is it that I am finding hard, and work on it with yourself, not as a suggestion to somebody else. For me, the biggest thing is with this wealth story is about the brands. How can we stay away from brands? How can we not get hooked on it? Yes, be comfortable, and it talks about it, about the trees, and Allah talks about elsewhere further on too, about be as efficient as you can be with what you have, what we call multitasking or something. Be doing this and be doing that, and but be as productive as you can be within the means you have, instead of wanting pie in the sky and putting all your effort. Once I have the pie in the sky, then I will do A, B, and C. But for the moment, I'm running after the dunya. So those are the kind of things. And then what it comes is that you will come back to us as bare as we made you in the first place. For those who want, how can we come to life again? And then there's a brief mention of Iblis story again, that he was from the jinn, and he's the one who derails us, and he's the one who wants us, to be in shirk. And then it goes back to say how Allah in the Quran gives you all kinds of similitude, and in this, nothing is left out. Nothing is left out, and they say, "Gosh, this Quran, these our books, our book of deeds, leaves nothing out." So, for us to really take solace for whatever is going on, not for an iota of whatever is being done by the real terrorists against what the Mujahid, who they're calling terrorists, how their every item, every malintention, every conniving bit is going to be brought to account. And then they're going to be saying, oh, this book has left nothing out, and they're going to be saying it's left out nothing, big or small. The sinful will be in great terror, and they say, woe to us, what a book is this? It leaves out nothing, small or great, but takes into account thereof. They will find all that they did placed before them, and no one will be with Allah treat with injustice. So and this is the beauty of having solace in the concept of akhirah, and the shaheed that are there. Yes, it's painful to see what want destruction is being done, how people are being killed, and all the rest. But the only solace that we get then is that they are shaheed, and we are going to see them in akhirah. May we see them in akhirah if we make it there as well. But it's, again, the take-home lesson for us is, what are we doing for ourselves, for our youth, how to keep them safe from this fitna of the dunya and of arrogance that comes with it also. And we will then get on to the next story, but just before the third story, which is Musa alayhi salam, which we do next time, is again the passage all the way up to 59 of how many of all the things Allah does. He's forgiving also, but He's also destroyed also. So don't for a minute think that Allah. And this is the beauty of our concept of Rabb, our concept of Ar-Rahman. What does Ayatul Kursi say? That He is Sinatum wala naum, that He is not at all even drowsy or he's sleeping, neither of the two ends. He's totally in charge. So for whatever we are seeing now, the injustice, the horrificness, yes, and duas work, and we need to be constantly making dua. The guy just said to the other guy, yeah, you think you're so cool, but maybe Allah will take it all away. That's all he had to say, and lo and behold, it was all gone. So can we be people that our duas get heard? Can I have my internet connection all the way up to heaven, my whatever, the ADSL line, the Wi-Fi, the whatever? Can we make our Wi-Fi so strong through our duas collectively, individually, and be really that squeaky clean people that we were, that allowed the Battle of Badr to happen, of so few against so many. And here it's reflecting the power, the extreme power this tiny little country, oppressive country that's there, has all the backing of the West to allow it. I mean, gosh, the fact that they're getting more ammunition to just destroy it, and then they are blind. You know, the conversation that they have, the lies and the blatant way they say, oh, but they have a right to defend themselves. You know, it's telling Goliath, you have a right to defend yourself. Astaghfirullah. But this story, again, brief as it is, the mention is bringing home to us the great fitna of being caught in the dunya. And this is what we need to save ourselves. So if every time we can remember, we can have all you like, but it's gone up in a whiff. So be careful of that. So with that, I'll just call it a close for today. Just pray that whatever I'm saying is first beneficial of me. May I be the first recipient of being a better person, and all of us out there, because we feel the pain, we feel, you know, the grief for what it is. So let us do something on our individual level, at our home levels, and fixing our own relationships within our homes, so that it will have ripple effect, and the thawab of that, because we did it for the sake of the Palestinians, may they reap the reward. Something at the moment we are reaping the benefit of them sacrificing their lives for the sake of Al-Aqsa, for the sake of our deen in general. So that I'll end off with akhiru dawahum and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
La 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 la.